few old faces as well, but I know most of the faces of CSC. Let this number increase a bit. Yeah, 10, let it be 15, and let's start. While we are waiting, let me tell you a story. There was a jungle, and there were many tribes living in that jungle. They used to do cooking for themselves, and while they were doing cooking, the problem for the early settlers were that they have to make fire, and they have to make fire from wet wood. So that was a challenge. Uh, so not everybody was able to make fire. So some tribes slept empty stomach. So there was a wise man there. He said that why don't we make a fire and make a utensil of of say mud. Okay, put water under it, and I'll put your utensils under there. Okay, and then we'll cook together. Okay, in your own utensils. Okay, that idea worked, and and the name that we give to that particular the dish is called purdle. Okay, purdle is a very old recipe, and we use it today as well. Okay, and it's one of the earliest delicacies running today without any. Just a minute. Without any problem, with all appreciation. We call it khichdi. That's something. Okay. So, in the course of making that purdle, uh, what we realized was that this is not the today's purdle. Okay, that was the purdle of the early days. Is we figured out that uh, the the delicacies that they were making individually, the and one that is made collectively, there's a slight change of taste. Although though one is not mixing with the other, but there is a slight change of taste. The slight change of taste, we will call it DevOps today. What DevOps is? Okay. There has been a lot of confusion running in the industry, running among uh, the circuits that uh, and the administrator would be required to learn programming, and the programmers would be required to learn administration. A tester, they would be required to learn programming as well as the administration, and so on and so forth. I would say this is a lie, okay, but this is a half truth because we are not spilling out of our utensils. However, our our orientations are changing. Okay, let me see if we can start the talk. If we have ample number of audience. Okay, we should start it. Okay, good. The rule of the training is, or the talk is very simple. Interrupt me wherever you want me to ask me any question that would make the things a point clearer. Okay, if it is quite removed from the topic that I am discussing, I might not choose to answer it, but all the questions are important. Important not for me, not for you, but for everybody who is in this group together, depending on learning DevOps technology. Uh, so to begin with, it's a compound word that changed how the software industry worked, and it created a buzz and an industrial threat. You know it all. How did it happen? In 2008, in an Agile Toronto conference, this mad-looking guy, his name is Andrew Sheffer, and this specty guy, his name is Patrick Deborah, created history by talking about a system of DevOps. DevOps is nothing new. Okay, it's nothing new. It is an addition to Agile framework. Now, for those of us who do not know Agile, what an Agile is, uh, I would say, in a while we are developing softwares, there are different phases of software. Different phases of software would mean, or different aspects of software. Like there's a design aspect of software. There's a business aspect of software. There is a database object aspect of software. These aspects of software, okay, are used to sit together in a team called in a team or in a conference. They call it Scrum, and they used to talk and understand how things are working for each of them. That used to happen where a Scrum meeting in which 15 minutes were dedicated, and everybody in the software in a particular project would sit together. I mean, especially the developers would sit together, and discuss what they are developing and how they are working, so that the the grids of the jigsaw meet. So that was agile. These two people, okay, their out of their wisdom, um, said, why don't we make everything together, okay, all the phases of the software together, and bring up a system, okay, and they call it, let's call it DevOps. DevOps is a compound word. There's another word that supplements the compound word. Okay, I'll talk about that, but right now just take it as compound word, because a lot of nomenclatures and names have actually cropped up ever since DevOps has come into picture. So, so Agile, as I spoke to you, it advocates adaptive planning, evolutionary development, early early delivery, continuous improvement, flexible response to change. These are the goals of Agile. Okay. It advocates adaptive planning. What does that mean? Everybody in the room knows what Mr. X is doing, Mr. Y is doing, Mr. Z is doing. If anybody has got any challenge, they can actually fire it. I have got this challenge. I want you to review this code. I want the help on this, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then if there is some change that needs to be done to the code that is not fitting with the other code, we can discuss it out and fix that issue and close it so that we can move ahead. Um, so the agile development, okay, gave rise to two type of systems. Okay, one is called Kanban table, and the other one is called Scrum. Scrum used to run under sprint, okay, which was a fixed goal for a 2 weeks time, or a 1 week time or a 3 weeks time. Okay, and then the goal needs to be achieved through the team. This is Scrum is a kind of a planning that would the that would actually take place in that room or a meeting area. The principles of the earlier agile methodology was a face-to-face conversation, as I said, need to change. So the software needs change. So does your software. Working software is the measure of success. Simplicity is vital. Software delivery regularly. Activity user involvement is unavoidable, growing with growth and self-organizing ecosystem. This culture of agile, this culture of agile is a culture wherein the softwares were made of small units that is supposed to fit into the bigger unit of integration. But if we one, if we step back, step, okay, we would the software industry had trends of different type of software engineering. The trends, those methodology of software engineering were like a waterfall model, okay, where everything the designing to testing was streamlined, and there was a continuous growth of the software from one point to the other with a clear-cut understanding of what needs to be done in each of the SDLC life cycle of the software. Then there was an approach of reverse waterfall model. Then there was the spiral model. Then there was the prototype model. All these models were existent until 1975, precisely 75 or 78. Okay, these models were very rigorously practiced, but one model was kind of an improvement on the other, and the journey went on. Uh, somewhere in 2007, okay, this agile framework came into picture. So I told you this is what agile framework was. Okay, I forgot to speak about Kanban. Kanban tables and Scrum, they were stemming out of the same philosophy of working together uh, as the as a leveraging team, as a complementing team. Okay, nobody allowed to work in silo. Okay, the word silo, if you go through the documentation of for DevOps, this word is quite used, which means in loneliness. Okay, uh, so no one was allowed to work in silo. They were given buddies, they were given environments to communicate, so that you don't have to do the digging and the research all alone. You can do it with others. Okay, disturb and be disturbed. Okay, Kanban was the same thought process, however, used in manufacturing units. Okay, some of the very distinguished units were Toyota that used Kanban, and a lot of Japanese company, okay, and Korean companies are also using Kanban as the standard of working, or the as a standard procedure of the working rather. Okay. So from the from the models of agile, we were born with DevOps. DevOps was a conglomeration of three things: development, QA, and operation. Uh, however, none of these units, okay, none of these units were kind of merging or into the other. They were just having a sense of the other, okay, the orientation of the other, okay, just like I told you the story about the puddle. Uh, so they were having the sense of the other. Okay. But the goal of these, I mean, these people, the mindset of these three people are quite very different. The developers seek changes, the operation team seeks stability, and the testers seek risk reduction. So all came together and created a philosophy called DevOps. It is a good idea there on paper, okay, but there were a lot of challenges. Okay, the challenge is communication. The challenge is over. I mean, kind of overheads. Like, for example, well, a developer is developing something. Okay, then until and unless he has developed something, the QA is not going to test it. And what the heck the QA would do sitting with developer when he is talking about development things? And what the heck the operation team would do to when QA and developers are talking among themselves? Operators of just operation team is just wasting his time. So the philosophy was meeting with this challenge of overhead. Okay. So miraculously, the they were not they were getting profits. Okay, they were profits, and um, and then came the deep research on why they were making profits. Okay, they were making profits because they were implementing tools that would communicate in such a way that these communication, okay, imbibes a word from all the three of the aspects. Okay, I have chosen just three of the aspects because it was convenient for me to draw the diagrams. However, if you see over here, there would be a developer. Okay, then there would be a operation team, then there would be a quality assurance team, then there would be a marketing team, there would be a sales team, there would be a stakeholder. So everybody is attached. Okay, so that would mean what? That would mean a very quick turnaround for the developer team. Is, is uh, if they develop 5 lines, that 5 lines needs to go to the operation team, and those operation team needs to use that 5 lines to implement it. At the same time, it goes to quality assurance team that would do, without the failure in the time or SLA. Normally, the development and the QA team, okay, they get an SLA of 3 days. I mean, in the earlier stories, okay, would get a 3 days turnaround time for them to return the bugs in the code that they have developed. Okay, but right now this is not the story. Okay, a developer team writes a code immediately that should go to QA team, and the QA team should actually be able to give the feedback instantaneously to developer, and then goes to operation. No, this thing is happening all at the same time without creating an overhead on the other. And what are we getting out of it? What we are getting out of it, we are getting a very good quality of software. Why we are getting a very good quality of software, we are going to discuss about it. Okay. And we will also, so in another half an hour, we will also discuss about the type of tools that we use to actually deal with all these aspects of software engineering, which is the new form of software engineering. We call it DevOps. Okay. So first of all, let me tell you, everybody who works in this particular environment, they can call themselves as a DevOps. Okay. Uh, So I repeat myself, he is not somebody who is an administrator and knows development. Okay, that's not the thing. He is an administrator and he understands development. He is a quality assurance guy. He knows operations. Okay, this is what it means. Okay. The views and the benefits for DevOps. Okay. Companies that practice DevOps have reported significant benefit, including significantly shorter times to the market, improved customer satisfaction, better product quality, more reliable release, improved productivity and efficiency, and increased ability to build right product by fast experimentation. Okay, and I have a number of authentic places where we get these particular article, the but what I chose was from Wikipedia. Okay. Um, Now here's another thing. Uh, However, a study released in January 2017 by F5, which is Financial Cycle 15, of almost 2,200 IT executives and industry professionals found that the only way in five surveyed that they think DevOps has strategic impact on the organization despite rise in users. Same study found that only 17% of identified DevOps as well below software as service, as 42 big data and so earlier, okay, the software development cycle or software life cycle used to be the planning, analysis, design, implementation, testing, and maintenance. But with this particular thing, there was a challenge. The challenge was when once a developer developed the code, okay, and it gives to the operation team. The operation team is not able to implement it or support it or something, okay, and they come back to developer and say your code is not working. Developer would say, hey, my code is working. I show you in my box, okay, in my dev environment, the code is working. But when you guys are inefficient, you guys cannot implement it in the client's computer, okay, and then there would be a lot of sack uh, that's happening over here. Okay, so the solution to this was getting these two people, okay, together, making the rules go blur. So so the DevOps team skill set, okay, I'm saying not the person, the DevOps team skill set, okay, need to be, they have to have an advanced analytics of them. They have to have business acumen with them. They have to have communication and collaboration system with them. Creativity is the binding force in everything that we do in the software field. However, we call it computer science, but creativity is the very integral thing over here. Data integration, data visualization, software development, and system administration are some of the consequential or the salient skill set required in a DevOps team. DevOps team depends on continuous delivery, data ops, uh, site reliability engineering, and system administration. Now, when you put this skill set over here, okay, you carve the careers uh, out from here. Yeah, the careers that you carve from these skill sets are continuous delivery career skill set, data ops skill set, okay, site reliability engineering skill set, and system administration skill set. These are the careers that we derive out of DevOps. To practice DevOps efficiently, software application have to meet. Okay, this is also very important. Okay, we are talking about uh, a complete overhaul of the way the software lifecycle goes. Okay. Uh, Now this is a very very different thing. It's a very tough thing, because the way the software was conceived, okay, was the architect will design the software, and once the design is over, well, the other people would pitch in, okay, and do their work. Okay, the coders will start to code and all those. Okay, but if you are making those turnaround times are so small that all the people, okay, that are there in the room gets employed simultaneously, then the architecture of the software has to be looked at, okay, because you can't have all the verbs and nouns together and framing a sense. Okay, so for that you would have to look how the software is designed. Okay. So over here, what is how DevOps architecture work is make very small cycles, very small cycles. Okay, let me get a pen. We make very small. We get very small cycles. Okay, and in this cycle, we ensure that all the stakeholders of the software are employed, right from the programmer to the business stakeholders, to the implementers. So there has to be a continuous development, a continuous testing, a continuous monitorability, and the continuous deployment. Okay, and I would be coming to all of it. Uh, so the life cycle, which used to be plan, code, deliver, and monitor, okay, has changed a bit. Here we have a plan, we have a code, we have a build, continuous or integration, we have a test to verify, we have deploy, we have operate, and we have monitor. We have monitor. So the life cycle of the software, uh, the phases have been redefined. Okay, nothing has changed, but they're just redefined. Uh, I This slide is what the goals of the DevOps would be: improved deployment frequency, faster time to market, lower failure rate, new release, shorten lead time between fixes, faster mean time to recover, simple process become increasingly programmable and dynamic using DevOps approach. DevOps aim to maximize predictability, efficiency, security, maintainability of the operational process. Very often automation support this objective. Okay, we have time. Here are the targets of goals of the DevOps: product delivery, continuous testing, quality testing, feature development, maintenance, release, enterprise system management, agile software development moment. Okay. If I look at this particular um, diagram, we will see these were the phases that we have discussed in a few minutes ago. And here are a lot of tools that are sitting against these phases. A lot of tools are sitting against these phases. Okay, we will see get, we will get Zira, we will get grade JUnit, we get Selenium for testing, we get Puppet, we get Chef, we get SaltStack, Ansible, Relic, expensive, any goals. Okay, talk about it a little bit more, but right now the goal of this particular training is to understand in detail what goes in the mind of a DevOps. Okay, and how do we use these, okay, at the first place. The plan is composed of two things, of course, define and plan. Uh, this activity refers to the business value of application. The plan activity include, okay, production metrics, object and feedback requirement, business metrics, update, release, plan, timing, business case, security policy, and requirements. Now, if you if you're thinking planning is happening at one point in time and coding is happening at a different point in time, okay, you are wrong. The coding are happening almost simultaneously. However, with the understanding of the whole system, okay, uh, is is happening, but before we understand the whole system, the goal of the system needs to be understood. The softwares, okay, which help in planning are these are the softwares. The software that CSC is using is Jira. I want to give a sneak peek view of Jira, but unfortunately my credentials is expired, okay, in Jira, so I was not able to do it. But I'll tell you what it does. Uh, there are there are four categories. There's 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 a Jira, there is Konaji. These are the two softwares which CSC uses. Okay, and I have been fortunate to use those softwares in the projects that I do. Okay, uh, what it does is is in the Scrum call. Okay, let's do it this way. There's a backlog. Okay, and of that backlog, what is a backlog? It's a pipe where uh, somebody has put work. Okay, what is the work? A very broad category of activity. You have from the backlog you would pull in a job. When you pull in a job, then you would break that job into sub jobs and you'll assign it to yourself. Oh, while you have broken down the job, okay, and you have assigned it to yourself, someone else, okay, would take up that job and then break that job in such a way that your jobs and his jobs are kind of incoherent, and he would assign it to himself. So, there would be a job and there would be sub jobs, and everybody would take the responsibility of a sub job. When those sub jobs are finished, a job is finished. Okay, and when a job is finished, a task is finished. Okay, and this is how the Jira works. It's a collaborative tool. It's a collaborative tool used in in agile methodology. Now it's a part of DevOps tool, standard DevOps tool or DevOps organization, wherein a granular level of analysis of the job takes place, and and we are able to deliver it. Uh, so you are able to see what Manoj is doing. You are able to see what David is doing. You are able to see what Mrigul is doing. So you are able to see who is doing what. Okay, and you are able to, and he is able to see what I am doing. Okay, uh, it becomes a complete ecosystem of information where everybody is knowing what the other person is doing and where he is getting stuck. Okay, uh, this is the same. This is the same system that blockchain uses in open ledger mechanism. And iRise and CA technologies in Alstian. I have not worked on it. I have worked on Jira uh, and Kabana. Okay, Konaji. I have worked on Jira and Konaji, so I can tell you about it. Uh, Now we are coming off on create. Okay. So I have said, I have informed everybody what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm writing a piece of code. Now when I'm writing a piece of code, this code resides on my computer. Okay, and that's fine. I'm writing it, but it needs to be updated to a central repository where it kind of gels with the other code, that is written. Okay, we call it when a big task is there, we call it forking. Okay, and when we pull the task, we call it. Yes, Mr. Kumar, you want to say something? This is where it's all stopped. Okay, okay, fair. So I was saying that while we do the planning, am I audible now? Oh,
Yes, you are right. You are audible.
okay, fair enough. So I'll repeat myself. Okay, there are two softwares that CSC uses, uh, and I'm aware of. One is a Jira. The other one is called Konaji. Okay. These are the planning softwares where a job is taken, okay, from the backlog, and the different technicians, different programmers, okay, different administrators take those jobs according to their own capacities, okay, and assign those jobs themselves, and further they break those jobs into small granular tasks. Okay, and then start to work on each of the granular tasks until the granular task is finished. As one finishes all the tasks, a particular job is finished. For example, I am writing a program, and then when I write a program, okay, there are few more programmers who would choose to write the program with me. The program would have X feature, Y feature, and Z feature. So there would be three set of programmers who would be working on features. As these set of programmers would assign the programming jobs to themselves, at the same time, the salespeople will assign the job to themselves. Okay. Of taking it further to the client. Okay, educating the client that this is what we are developing. At the same time, the development people would set up a server. At the same time, that the test team would take up the codes from the programmer and set up an environment where they can do the testing. So while a task is taken, okay, all the facets that are required to run the show gets into to boot action. Okay, everybody starts to act. Okay, so this is what I was saying. Now in that environment, everybody is able to see what everybody is doing. Okay, and this is exactly the same mechanism that you would see in the modern day softwares and the very popular blockchain mechanism that we come to know, which has given birth to Bitcoins, open ledger system. So this is a kind of an open ledger system where everybody has chosen his own capacity and doing what best he can do to make the software happen and reach its destination and is monitored. Okay. Now coming to create. When I'm writing a software, I would have to have the software gets written in my computer, and I would have to somehow inform the entire brigade that this particular line of code has been written. Okay, this particular feature has been, this particular function has been written. Okay, this particular thing has already happened. Okay. So for that, okay, we require some kind of information information collaborative system. Okay, and that system we use uh, in the in the course of coding. We either use Microsoft Team Viewer, or we would use Git. Or we will use GitHub. Okay, Git is actually an open source that is built on the GitHub. Now, what is happening here is interesting. That when I write a code, I need to replicate this code, push this code into the central library. Okay, and this code goes into central library and merges with the central library. Okay, if if the work after, if I have done something and then someone else needs to do this, do a work on the code that I have pushed to the central library, he can actually pull the code. Okay, so we call it push and pull. And then if there is a code that needs to be distributed among 4 or 5 people so that he can use those code. Okay, in developing their own code, we call it forking. If we want that code to be completely cloned to another system, we call it cloning. So there are a few of the terminologies that Git uses. Okay, it's an open source. It's a free repository as long as you are using it as a private repository. It will become um, expensive, not expensive. It becomes paid. Okay, when you are using it as a private repository. CSC also has a Git repository where you would be able to find a lot of CSC projects. Uh, the other competitors in these areas are Bitbucket, GitLab, okay, okay, Elastic Cloud, and CFE engine, and there is one more, Microsoft uh, Team Team Viewer, Microsoft TFS, Foundation Server. Uh, Verify. Verify is okay. After you have done the coding, which gets cascaded to different developer, it also gets cascaded to whom? To a tester. The tester would be able to do the testing based on the lines of code that that the tester has got. So he would be able to do acceptance testing, regression testing, okay, security analysis, vulnerability configuration testing. So there are different type of testing that he can actually do. So there would be definitely softwares for this. The popular software that you find in this area of development would be Selenium, but there are more softwares that have come up in this particular space. The one very famous software is the Parasoft and the SkyTap. These are the two softwares that come into this particular area, which is able to do the testing, okay, and then report it to the developer team or to the developer per community or consortium what the result is. Okay, so that so I would like to tell you that the entire code, okay, entire code of the software is not tested by one person. Okay, the functionality of the test down and then tested. Okay, and so that's going to employ employers, testers over there, or check. Then packaging. Packaging refers to the activity involved once the release is ready for deployment and is often referred to as staging or pre-production or report. This includes the task of activities such as approval, pre-approval, packaging, and trigger. These all things are done by what? Jetin, because that comes under continuous implementation. Release is related activity includes scheduling, orchestration, provisioning, deploying of the software to a targeted environment. These are the softwares that we get to see in the space of release. Configure. Okay, now this is very important. Okay, we as a we in CSC in the on the floor that I am in. Okay, we do a lot of automation. Okay, and that particular part, okay, is typically a kind of a configuration, okay, of the softwares or integration of the softwares. Okay, so there's a cycle for continuous automation as well, continuous management as well, infrastructure as code. I'll deal with each of it in the flow. Continuous configuration. I mean,
sorry to interrupt your when you have stopped sharing your computer, I believe.
Sorry, what did you say?
Your screen is not visible to us now.
When did this happen?
Just a few minutes.
Okay. This is crazy. I don't know why this the thing gets. You able to see it now?
No, not now. It's loading.
Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Continuous configuration tool is a programmable framework for configuration, orchestration through coding, planning, and incrementally adopting policies. So as I have said, in the specs of software development, okay, there is when you are developing it, okay, you require to write it in some language. Okay. So those language, okay, would be different in different scenarios. If you are doing it for infrastructure, or if you're doing it for bank, if you're doing it for insurance, so you choose different language for different places. Okay, so that activity of writing and then configuration of it to the business. Okay, we will call it a continuous configuration or automation. Okay. And the chief, or the notable tool in this particular the spec of activities would be Ansible, Otter, Puppet, Rudder, Stock. I wished we had somebody from Ansible to speak a little bit more on Ansible. Okay. However, I give you a very brief idea on the Chef and Ansible. These are configuration tools. They are that would be required for uh, for configuration. Okay, for configuration of your servers, configuration of your shops. Okay, or the configuration of the environment. These these are tools basically used in the infrastructure to configuration automation systems. Okay, in this particular area, we can also include very safely the PowerShell. Okay, and then desired state configuration of PowerShell. Uh, so these are the places where we can do. We are talking about something which is called uh, this is continuous automation. Then there is configuration management. Okay, management is another very important area for uh, in the life cycle of DevOps. Configuration management would mean is a very old term that is used in militaries for seeing their trucks, okay, seeing their weapon systems, okay, whether the weapon system meets the you cannot, I mean, go ahead and check the weapon system whether it's firing or not firing every day. You have to make sure that uh, I mean the weapon system meets the documentation, okay, or not. Okay, if it is meeting the documentation to it means the weapon system would work when it is desired to work. Okay, so for example, there is an interceptor missile, okay, and you would never or you cannot always throw a missile to a particular target and then fire a interceptor missile to check whether the interceptor missile is going to work or not. Okay, so what is the solution? You have to have so the configuration management done to it. You have to ensure that this is the way the weapon systems are supposed to be kept, okay, and this is the way the weapon systems are kept. Okay, uh, so if the missile is launched, it would fire, okay, and that is configuration management for you. Uh, so this is the flow of configuration management. Okay. In the configuration management, okay, we can break the configuration management uh, into continuous configuration automation, okay, and the configuration management in itself, and code as infrastructure as code. Okay, let's talk about the weapon system. That sounds a little catchy to talk about. Okay, so the weapon system has is ready. Okay, and it would require uh, and it is you are checking it with whether the document whether it is meeting with the document or not. Now, what do you check? Okay, whether it is meeting with the document or not. Some kind of log. Okay, that the weapon system or your computer is generating. Correct. Okay. For example, you have a server. It has got some numbers of processors, some numbers of RAM, okay, some numbers of hard drives, and a few of the other gadgetries. Uh, if it is required to run like this, uh, how would you check for every day that it is up? You need logs for that. That log should match with the documentation. Okay. That is infrastructure as code. Infrastructure as code would mean uh, that the infrastructure of the is able to write a code. Okay, one, or we can code so that the infrastructure changes. So there are two. It works two ways. Infrastructure as code, because this is a very popular, question that's very much asked. So we are very clear on this. Okay, the infrastructure as code would mean that the infrastructure is making the logs, and you are able to validate or verify it with the documentation, as well as as well as you have the capacity in the code to make changes so that the infrastructure changes. So the infrastructure in itself would become a code. Okay, and that's the way the infrastructure of code is actually understood. Then there's continuous configuration automation. Okay, we have spoken about it. These are the softwares. Okay, then there is something which we do in this new life cycle, which is monitoring. Of course, we used to do that earlier. Yeah, but here we have a special definition for monitoring. The monitoring is done based on real-time data. That there are monitoring done on the releases. There are monitoring done on the applications on which it is kind of put in. The prominent vendors, or the notable vendors, are Big Panda, the New Relic, Wireshark, and there are other notable tools that you would find in this area would be Splunk, Kibana. Uh, uh, there is another called Gingeria. A lot of it are not over here, but you will get to see in my notes. I'll share my notes with you guys. Okay. This is the diagram for continuous delivery. Okay, this is how the continuous delivery works. Now, what is a continuous delivery? If I explain it to you once again, the programmer, okay, is doing a continuous programming. Okay, there's a continuous testing that is happening. Then there has to be a continuous delivery that would also have to happen. Okay, and the Jet King is a leader in this particular area. Now, there are a few buzzwords that have actually cropped up in the lines of DevOps, which is NoOps, WinOps, and BizOps. NoOps for the, does not mean that we do not require operations. It is the framework in which there would be minimal of operation and maximum. Minimal of operation would mean things have been automated through the tools so much that there's minimal of operation, but it's just a synonym of DevOps. Okay, a lot of articles have been written on NoOps. Okay, which are just in lines of DevOps. WinOps is the Windows Ops. Okay, it is a portmanteau of Windows Ops, which mean that it is Windows Ops. Okay, we get it works on only the set of Microsoft's tool set. There's something which is called Biz DevOps. It's nothing different. Okay, we have said that the business and the developers and the operations, okay, sit together. and develop the software. Okay, that is when we call it a biz DevOps. Okay, this would stand for business. Here we have the list of the Microsoft WinOps. Okay, uh, um, build master chocolatey, get Octopussy deploy Otter, PowerShell, Team City, the Team Foundation server, Verb, Vanguard, Visual Studio releases. These are the um, softwares of WinOps. I, so this is all that we have in the presentation today for DevOps. Um, if you have any question, you can just fire those questions on me, and I'll be very happy to answer them for you.